It has been a number of long winners seasons for the Greenfield-Central basketball team. They've gone a combined 10-35 in the 2012-2013 season and the 2013-2014 season. But they always showed a great level of competitiveness and a great level of potential. The team is led by a number of seniors: Tate Hall, Chandler Bean, Kirill Schulman, and Blake Robertson. And they also have key underclassmen led by Will O'Connor, Josh Mundell, and Dre Jamison. Bench players also look to help the Greenfield-Central Cougars, as Gage Mann, Jeremiah Fields, Jack Van Dyne, and Brian Long will be the next men up as soon as a starter needs a break. The team is full of competitors, and Coach Mike Lewis is confident in bringing basketball back to Greenfield-Central. Hi, I'm Owen Smith here today with head coach Mike Lewis. How you doing today, Coach?
Good, Owen. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty well. Now, you come from Delphi Community High School. How big of a change is it going from there into here?
You know, I think probably just the level of competition that you play night in, night out. Obviously our schedule is very tough. You know, we have to play well every single night to come away with a victory. There's nothing that's going to be given to us. I think probably the second biggest change is, just how many kids are involved in the program. We've got a great youth program here. We've got great numbers at the high school level. So, it's been a good change, something that I've looked forward to. And probably the biggest thing that I've enjoyed so far is how great our kids have been in the program. They're just a joy to be around.
That's good. Now, you took over a team that was about 10-35 over 2 seasons, and regardless of seniors taking over, new freshmen like Will O'Connor coming in,
right?
What were some of the changes that led to you turning the team into a 10-win team?
Well, I think, first of all, the kids deserve the credit because they bought into the philosophy of trying to compete for 32 minutes, night in and night out, not taking possessions off. So the kids did a nice job in that aspect. I think we were really close to even, getting more wins last year, and hopefully we can break through that barrier this year. But like I said, the kids have just bought into the philosophy that we're going to outwork people night in and night out.
That's a good philosophy, and it's really just going to the games. It really showed that it paid off and everything,
right.
And I really enjoyed last year, and I'm definitely looking forward to this year. But you guys had a pretty important off season.
Yeah.
First, you lost some seniors, and then you also lost an assistant head coach. So what have you guys done to kind of replace those roles?
Well, I think that, our kids see it as an opportunity to now, step up, next man up. You've got to be ready to play. So in this offseason, we spent a lot of time focusing on strength. That was an area of concern going into it, that we've got to get our body stronger. We've got to become more athletic. And then the second thing is skill development. We want to be more skilled. So, our kids have done a great job, not only within our scheduled workouts, but finding time on their own to get better. And I think that's what it's going to take to turn the program around. Guys are just committed to winning, whether we're in together or whether they're on their own. And they've done a great job with that.
Yeah, it's good. Now, on top of that, you had some exciting stuff. Tate Hall just signed to UND Greyhounds.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had experience with a college athlete, a senior going to play college?
Right, yeah. I had a few at Delphi. My brother-in-law went to play at Wabash. He played basketball and baseball there. I also had a player who had multiple Division I offers, ended up signing with Northern Kentucky. He's a junior there now. So I've coached some athletes that have been able to go on and play at the next level. But I know it's certainly exciting for Tate and his family, one, to be local and be able to go 20 minutes down the road and know that next year people are going to come and see him and watch him play, so that's going to be fantastic. But Tate's deserving of everything that he's receiving right now, because I've never been around a kid that's worked harder.
Yeah, I see him. I'm friends with him, and I always see him working, and
yeah.
I swear that's all he does sometimes.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between being interested and invested. And Tate's invested in his game, through tons of hours in the gym, and it's going to pay off for him.
Yeah. So does that add like an extra energy to your guys' locker room, having that kind of athlete? Or?
Yeah, I think not just him, but we've had multiple guys who have been invested in the off season. I think that when you develop that sweat equity, where guys have put in the hours in the gym, and now they're playing for something, and they're playing for each other. And when you can get a group of guys to buy into that, that's when you have a chance to have a really good season.
So from the looks of the roster, you guys you don't seem to be lacking any talent. So, and you said you're a next man up program. So you have a set starting 5, or is it going to be fluctuating like all season?
I think it could change all season. It just depends on who's playing well, obviously, whether we're healthy or not. We've got some key guys that are going to play big minutes. That's the one thing I like about this team. I think we have some solid depth. I think we have guys that are capable of filling a role. But that's going to be important this year, is guys finding their role and then becoming an all-star in their role. So, we've got to define that for them, and, and then they've got to buy into it. And, something that we've talked about early in the season is we need to be selfless. We can't be, looking for our shot or, worried about our individual stats. It's got to be all about the team, and I think our guys have done a nice job with that so far.
So we're approaching the season now. What are some team goals that you guys have?
I don't like to put a number on the season like, hey, we need to win this many games or we're going to focus on conference. It's just about, the individual process and the collective process of getting better each day. We've got to get better each time we step in between these lines. We can't take a possession off, even if it's just a simple rep as a free throw. We're shooting free throws in practice. You need to be locked into that rep. And I think if we can get a little bit better each and every day, then we'll put ourselves in a position at the end of the season we're playing really good basketball and we'll be a tough outcome sectional time.
Looks good, and I'm really looking forward to the season. I want to thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, buddy. Appreciate it.
Greenfield Central's Troop 2691's acting group is well known throughout the state and may be well known throughout the nation, and they have been competing in the regional show every year. This year's regional show is at Bethel College. And also, the Greenfield Central acting group has made it to state several times off of the regional show. Now, this year's regional show director is Harrison Kern, and as we know, the regional show is strictly student-directed. So I will be talking to Harrison Kern to see what his expectations are and how to compare it from last year's show home, written by Ross McMichael.
This year's regional show that I've chosen is called Shuttersome Tales of Poe. It's a combination of 3 different Edgar Allan Poe short stories. Mm-hmm.
All right, and so, Greenfield goes to regionals just about every year. What are some expectations you have about your show?
When I chose this show, I wanted to do something that was a little different than what we've done before. In the past 2 years that I've gone to regionals and the regional shows that I've been a part of have been dramas. Mm-hmm. So dramatic productions is something that I kind of wanted to stay away from. And I know that usually comedies don't win at regionals either or don't advance to state competitions. So I looked for something a little bit more abstract, but one thing that I'm really interested in as it is horror. So I picked a little bit more of a darker piece to do this year to kind of add some diversity to the other regional shows we've done throughout Greenfield's high school career. Because we've done shows like the one we're doing now before, but it's been a while. So I'm really excited to be directing a show that is a little bit different, a little bit more diverse than the ones that we've done and the ones that I've been a part of before.
So far with the show, how would you compare it to last year's show, Home, which was directed by Ross?
Ross's show was an amazing show, and it's really going to be really hard to top what we did. One of the things about it that's different is the cast is a lot bigger in the show we're doing now. So that's a bigger obstacle. Last year we only had 8 people in the show, and that really causes a lot of extra time to work on more detailed things, which ultimately made Home such a great show. But the effort that we had to put in is nowhere near the amount of effort that we're working in to the regional show we're doing right now. So it's a lot different because we all have to think a lot differently. I know that some of the aspects of this show, especially with some like the vocal percussion and some of the roles that we've never really done anything like that before. The concepts are a lot more abstract and a lot different than the things that we've done in past regional shows, which I think that's going to bring a lot of questions to the judges' tables, thinking these guys are good. What should we rank them as when we place them? So I'm really interested to see how the difference between the things that we've done will affect the show.
So the show has come a really far way since the beginning. How was it like in the beginning?
The beginning was nerve-wracking for me, honestly, because I was really worried that the cast members weren't going to be up to par with the caliber of this show, because this is a high caliber show. This is a really technically advanced show, like nothing I think even in the history of Greenfield we've ever done before, and that kind of pressure on me honestly has driven me to do greater things and to keep thinking about how the show is going to work and how everything kind of fits together with the entire show. Yeah.
Yep. So, are there any like underclassmen in the show? You know, normally, it's upperclassmen.
Yeah, we usually have the upperclassmen. I mean, when I was a sophomore, I was asked to be in the regional show, and that doesn't happen. Me and Sarah Robinson were both asked to be in it because we were chosen by the director, and we actually have a freshman in the show, Castle Llewellyn. He is he's up and coming to be one of the guys in Greenfield drama. So I'm really proud of him for what he's been doing and the links he's gone through to get to the point he is now, to be in this high caliber show. Mm-hmm.
So besides Castle, are there any like new faces in the regional show here that weren't last year?
Well, a lot of the people in the regional show last year were seniors. Well, not a lot of them, but a few of like the main people, some of the great actors that we've had in the past couple of years were in that show. So I'm not in it, obviously. I'm not trying to be immodest or anything like that, but I'm directing, so I'm not going to be able to put forth an acting effort into that show. But we have a couple new faces, like Alex Whitehouse is in the show. She's never been in a regional show. You're in the show. You haven't been in a regional show. Caitlin Robinson, she was Mary Poppins last year. She's in the show. Castle. Cayman Lapierre is in it. He's a longtime drama veteran. There's a lot of new faces. We have a lot of new faces and a lot of people that I'm working with this year that really they're the elite. Everybody in the show is the elite because this is a competition, and this is not something that we just put on and we work on for 2 months and then we show and then you never do it again, because we have the chance of doing the show more than just once. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out when we get to regionals.
Okay, you said that there was 3 parts to the regional show. Which part would you say is your favorite?
I think the probably part 1, which is Telltale Heart, is my favorite part, mostly because that's one of my favorite Edgar Allan Poe short stories. But I also think Tanner Horde, he's also a new face that's a part of this show. He's doing a really great job with that character, with the character of the young man in that story. It always just chills me to the bone when I watch that performance and the way that I have it blocked, and seeing that feeling of horror inside of me coming out on a stage and then just bouncing right back at me when I'm watching it. It's like deja vu. It's like seeing one thing and then seeing the exact same thing right again another time in another place. It's invigorating, honestly. It's a great experience, and that's one of the reasons why that part is my favorite, because it really hits me when I watch it.
Do you think that the judges at Bethel will like that part as well?
I think that Tanner is doing an amazing job with the physicalities of this character and just how involved he is with playing this part, that I think the judges are really going to appreciate that, because that's something that we've always been kind of known for, is how realistic our characters have been. Like last year, we were acclaimed for having our characters match exactly how they were supposed to be described, and that's amazing. That's honestly what I've been shooting for, and I have that expectation for the people that come through, and for what they put on.
Yep. With these characters, who do you think came the farthest with creating their characters?
Oh, let me think. Personally, since Castle is such an inexperienced freshman, I was so surprised with every day he surprises me with something that he says, or the way that he says it, or the way that he moves or looks in these scenes. It's mesmerizing to see him do those kind of things, and then you not ask for it. So he is growing at a rate that that reminds me of myself when I was first in drama my freshman year, because when I was in drama my freshman year, a lot of the people that were in the shows were all seniors or were all older than me, and those were the people that I looked up to, and those were the people that I tried to set myself up into that caliber of acting. And that's why I'm really proud of myself, of the way that I've been with acting and with directing and things like that, because I had to think and I had to place myself with that group of people just so I could get experience. But the thing about it is that Castle, I feel, is doing the same exact thing because he's been given the opportunity to do that, and that sparks a whole. It's like opening up a Pandora's box for actors, is when they get the opportunity to do something that people their age or people of their experience don't get to do very often. That makes them 10 times of an actor than a person that isn't given those opportunities. And that's what I like about Greenfield so much, is because there's a good chance that those kind of kids are going to get those opportunities and then grow into something that they never thought they would be able to do. And that's why I'm so proud of Castle, and that's why I think he's grown so much, and he has progressed as an actor so farther than anyone else. So I'm really proud of him for that.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. It's
Awesome.
Nice having you.
Thank you.
The Landing is a place in Greenfield where teens can go talk about their hurts, habits, and hang-ups. It is Christ-centered. The Landing is where one can get support and have confidentiality. Altogether, The Landing is a great place to make friends and talking about your hurts in life. I am here with Mart Williams. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Gabriel?
Pretty good, actually. So what is The Landing exactly?
Well, The Landing is it's a recovery program for teens. So it's for teens that might be struggling with an addiction, alcohol, or drug abuse. They might be victims of sexual or physical abuse at home or in some other setting. And so The Landing gives them a place to come and to be themselves and to work out, try to work on those issues in their lives.
So how did The Landing start?
Well, there's a program that came out of a church in California called Celebrate Recovery, and it's the same sort of thing. It's a recovery program for adults. And after they'd been in existence for a few years, they saw the need for a similar program for students, for people, say, from 13 to 19 years old. And so they started the program called The Landing. And it's a little bit different in each location. Some of them are actually based in a church, but in our case, we're in a building that used to be a restaurant at one time and a heating and cooling business for another time. And we're, although the organization started with a church, we're really not church-based, and we're not trying to get people to belong to a church or to accept religion. We really just want to have a place for students to come and be able to be themselves. So our setting is a little bit different than many of the others.
What do you think makes The Landing so special?
I think the thing that we talk about a lot is, and it's kind of our tagline, a place to be real. And so students can come there and they can be themselves, and they don't have pressure to conform or to meet a certain set of standards. And again, we know that they have various issues in their backgrounds, and we accept that. We take them at face value for what they are. And so I think that's what makes it special. We get many students that return from week to week. We get people that come for a period of time and leave. And I think it's just that freedom in the program and the fact that we treat the students as they are that makes them want to come back.
So what's the coin ceremony you guys have?
Well, the coin ceremony celebrates milestones in recovery. So I think when you first decide that you're going to try to overcome something in your life, then you get a blue coin And after you've been at it for, I won't remember all the exact milestones now, but after a month there's another coin that you get. So it goes monthly up to 6 months, and then you get a 1-year coin. And usually, I mean, the program's intended to be kind of like a 1-year effort. But people certainly stay longer than that, and some may feel that they're recovered and done earlier than that. But the coin ceremony basically is an opportunity to celebrate that and get recognized by your peers that you've made an accomplishment.
Okay, so what are the principles that you guys go over, like once a month, or when do you do that?
We do the principles like alternating weeks. The way our particular program is set up is 1 week we'll have a speaker come in. It's usually someone who's overcome some sort of an issue in their life, and oftentimes they're adults. And we alternate that with a teaching session. So the lessons are based around the 8 principles. The 8 principles, to make them easy to remember, all start with one of the letters from recovery. So the first one is like realize that I'm not God. I'm incapable of controlling my tendency to do the wrong thing, and so that's one of the principles. And then each one has its own corresponding beginning letter that starts with one of the letters from recovery. And so the teaching that we do every other week is aligned along that, and it works through the program as you go from the initial R to the Y at the end.
All right, so one of the big things you had, like whenever I was there, the inventory list. What are those exactly? Because I didn't understand it at the time.
Okay, so that gets into, I think it's principle 4, and that's where we admit our faults to ourselves and to someone that we trust. And when we do the inventory list, we look at the things in our life, we look at the person or people that might be having an impact on us, a negative impact on us. And it could be ourselves in that particular case. We try to, in the inventory, we write down how they're having that impact, and several other aspects about it, but there's 6 questions involved with that inventory. And it really helps you to focus on the issue that you're having, understand what's behind it, and what you need to do to overcome it. So, and it's a key piece in the recovery process. It's a very important part of it.
So how did you find out about the landing?
Well, I go to a church here in Greenfield, and our director, Linda Ostewig, visited, and she visited several churches, and she talked about the landing, and actually to a certain degree it was kind of a misunderstanding on my part. I thought they were looking for tutors for young people. As it turns out, when I went in for the interview, they said, well, it's not really tutors, it's more like mentors, but still sounded intriguing and interesting to me, and it's I've learned probably more than I've helped anyone. I think I've been helped more by it than what I've provided, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting and enjoyable.
How many students do you usually have each night?
Well, right now it's 50 to 60, and when we first started, we've been in existence for about 2 years. We first started, we had 10 to 12, and it's grown pretty steadily from week to week. So now we're up at about 60. And again, I mean, there's maybe a third of them have been there pretty consistently for several months. And some people come for 3 or 4 sessions. Some people come and decide it's not for them, and we tend not to see them again.
So, like, how does the landing still run? Who pays for, like, everything?
Donations. And let's see, in the original location for the landing was in a building that had a restaurant, and the owner of that business provided that space for us. So that was a big cost savings. But beyond that, there's an annual fundraiser where I don't know what percentage, but a large part of our operating budget comes from. Is that we just held that in October, and it's affiliated with the Life Choices Center in Greenfield. In fact, Life Choices kind of spun this group off from itself. So anyway, it's a combined fundraising effort, and it's a dinner, and there are a lot of donations that come from that. But otherwise, I mean, people make contributions. you know, some people, if you donate to United Way at your place of work, you can have some of that or all that money go to the landing.
So,
I should also mention, I'm sorry, I should also mention a lot of businesses in the area donate things like every week, you know, we raffle a few meal tickets and things like that, and we have churches that come in and provide dinner for us, and they do that on a rotating basis. So it's really a lot of groups that support us.
All right, so one last thing before we go. Where do you hope to see the landing in the future?
Well, I'd like to see it continue to grow. We left our original location because we got too big for it, and I'm hoping that happens soon with this place. We see a lot of people come in because they have friends that are at the landing, and they realize that their friends would benefit from it. So I'd just like to see that continue to grow. I mean, I'd like to see us do more in trying to measure our success and just see that success increase. And by success, I mean people that overcome the issues in their life and benefit from it.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Gabriel. It's been a pleasure.
All right.